Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and I have Ryan Shantz from SumoQuote with me. How you doing, man?
Good, great. Good to be here with you, Tim.
Appreciate that very much. We're talking about how to get higher ticket, higher end exterior remodeling jobs. And so, Ryan, you've had a lot of experience both seeing this in your own company, but you've also been part of this renaissance of better looking quotes and stuff like that to be able to help people get better jobs, basically. So in your experience, what are some of the top things that you've seen people that have made the transition from just lower end exterior remodel jobs to the higher end ones? What are the things that they have in common that they're doing?
Yeah, well, and a bit of it ties into my background. So I'll just give a couple little things. There's a company
Please go
that
for it.
I run called SumoQuote. And so that's a tool that we use to build a bunch of this stuff. But a lot of my experience actually comes from the roofing side. So I'm still one of the owners of a large roofing company up in Calgary, Canada. And so I've done these sales for years. So, really the biggest thing that it has in common is a customer that's willing to put on a premium product or create a premium, pay a premium dollar amount. They want a premium experience. They're expecting more than just a number in an email or a sheet of paper. And they're starting to get that. We're seeing those premium custom type experiences come up everywhere, and not even with premium type products, right? So, I mean, you think about your banking, you think about buying groceries, you think about Amazon, like each of them make your life fast, easy, convenient, access to information. Like there's all sorts of technologies that are being blended together in it. You got to give them more than that sheet of paper these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think of it as like almost like software vibes from service providers. And, I see people doing that. Well, sometimes, I just got in a new home and, new homeowners in that first month are likely to spend twice as much as your normal homeowner. And I think it's like the first 3 months on just home services. Right. And so just looking into different things, and there's a couple that did it really well with that kind of like the texting, they're basically integrating modern technology, the basic stuff that we do with each other too, and making it feel easy. I was talking to a roofing company this morning. We're working on their website, and like, I know the ultimate for a homeowner is like, they wish they could sometimes just push button and get roof. And, and these guys also do high end remodeling on the interior side as well. And so,
Yeah, you've got to find a way
there's a sell. People need that sold to them though. There are certain things that you need more context. You can't just push buttons. So, but we all want everything to be software feel. Sometimes.
Well, we're comfortable with it these days, right? Like I remember probably 3 years ago, there was the first week of December, and like every night my doorbell's ringing, and it's just sort of like, oh, this is weird. Like I'm not used to my doorbell ringing this month, right? And of course, it's like Amazon and everybody, you can order online these days. But a year or two prior, we had done 100% of our Christmas shopping in the stores, and now we basically shifted to 100% of it online. Like people are comfortable with this stuff. It's what they expect, and this is a normal part of life now. And with contractors, I find way too often they're comparing themselves to other contractors, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm good because I'm better than the guys around me. But it doesn't mean that you're not letting the homeowner down or coming up short in what they're expecting from the experience because of how they're functioning day to day these days. So just being better than your competition isn't good enough to meet homeowner expectations. You've got to up your game way more.
Yeah. And it comes down to a little bit of like visual appeal of the pieces of marketing and sales collateral that they're getting from you. So is it just some kind of base template that you pulled off the internet and slapped your logo on? Or is it something where you really have spent a little bit of time making sure that it feels somewhat custom? And obviously that's where SumoQuote helps to be involved in that process to make stuff feel, because you guys have a high end look, but I wait on the pitching for now because we're going to get into it. But I always use the vibe of like, show what you want to grow on your website. So like, if you are wanting to do higher end jobs, don't show as many low end jobs in your gallery of work completed. have this vibe of like, we have higher end stuff. It's also okay to, you know, say no in the sales process, right? To lower end stuff, because ultimately, if you're still out there trying to do $28,000 jobs and you have this $200,000 exterior remodel project that you have available, you're not going to wow that person and make them a raving fan to get your next 5 jobs. Because you've
Yeah,
got, I
no,
mean, not to say you can't do both, but I'm saying like ultimately you have to say no to the lowest end stuff so you can say yes to the higher end stuff.
well, yeah, and there can be a bit of both and it depends on the strategy of the business, right? So obviously you're getting into a lot of stuff around your branding, how you're positioning yourself in the market compared to other contractors and or just in the homeowners mind themselves. And I know you guys are great at working with contractors on that stuff. So I mean that's critical stuff. Like that is stuff. What I say is a contractor wants to create an experience for a homeowner and they need that experience to be consistent. So they want a consistent experience from their landing page to their website, to their business cards, to the look of their truck, to the look of their salesperson when they show up, to the look of their quote and presentation. Like the homeowners can sniff out a fake really easy. And so if at any point you fall off a cliff, if everything is looking good, and then obviously from the quote presentation side, you give them, a number on a dirty napkin, or you just give them one page with some line items and your logo and that's it. And your competitors are giving them something exponentially better. They start associating that with the experience they're going to get, the craftsmanship they're going to get in the project, rightly or wrongly. That's what the homeowners are trying to figure out. How should we trust, or who should we trust with this? And so everything that you're doing to communicate in every touch point along the way, you need a level of professionalism and consistency. And so there's, and that's why, your company Hook is a great one for us to connect with SumoQuote, because we've got such alignment on the value and we've seen the impact all of these things can have when they're done correctly together.
Talk to me about, you said a quote about like 10 times better comprehension and retention with showing something visually.
Yeah, well,
so how does that play into like quotes? Like, so I know how that plays into websites, but like, how does that play into quotes? And can you maybe even walk us through, you can talk us through a little bit what you're walking us through, but like a little bit of how that plays into SumoQuote as a tool.
Totally. So, and I'll share my screen with you for anybody watching, for everybody listening. I'll just describe what's going on here. But it's this whole concept that comprehension on visual versus written is 10 times faster, up to 10 times faster. And retention is up to 10 times longer. So when you're trying to comprehend it, I've put a bunch of words on the screen here, right? Dough, tomato, peppers, cheese, all of this stuff. And you look at it and your brain can figure it out, right? Like, but as I go to my next slide and it's just the picture of a pizza, your brain figures it out exponentially faster. And not only does it figure it out faster, I've got a physiological response to it. My mouth starts to water looking at this, whereas those words had no effect on me whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
So when we're translating this into what does that mean for contractor sales? Here's a page from a job that I sold. This was after a 2016 storm, and I was standing on the ground with this homeowner. And what I'm showing here for those listening is it's a picture of a dead spot behind a chimney going through the roof here. And so I show this dead spot, and it's sort of up against this wall where we're going to build a cricket. But really, for me to put all the words down there, right? There's a dead spot located behind your chimney where water could pool. This creates a high risk for a leak. A homeowner, if you're trying to expect them to communicate that to their partner later that night, good luck. They're never going to understand exactly what you were trying to explain, let alone try and explain it to somebody else. Whereas if you visually show them, this is the issue, and they're like, oh yeah, I totally see how water would build up and pool there. That looks wrong. And you're like, oh, well, here's the solution. And you just quickly trace a few lines on how you're going to sketch a cricket on there and put some arrows for how water is going to be directed correctly off the roof. Not only will they comprehend this way faster, they're going to be able to retain it longer and be able to explain it. But this is, if you can be the contractor that they trust that helps them understand. I mean, this is the stuff that closes business, even though it feels like a small detail. It's
Yep.
the stuff that wins jobs at the end of the day.
Yep. Totally. Talk me through like a little bit of the system and the process of actually setting up a sumo quote. So for those of our audience that are interested, maybe making their quotes feel a little bit more high end to be combined with their awesome new website, for instance, how could they use SumoQuote to elevate their look and feel? And can you show us the process of creating one of these? Because I think the scariest part about putting together higher end quotes, and it's scary for me even as a marketing agency, is that I don't know if I'm going to be able to systematize the approach to getting these out, because really I do need a quantity of them going out on a regular basis. So how can we do that with SumoQuote?
Yeah, totally. And without, I can show the output later on.
Yeah,
But sorry, I'm just opening this up here quick. Let me do this and I'll show you building a quote. And I'm going to do this really fast so that
sure.
people understand that you can have a system. Once the things are in place, this is easy. So I'm going to connect to Job Nimbus here, and I'm going to search
I'm gonna
for,
do a little talk through while you're doing it too. We've got a beautiful back end where you've got projects listed in a kind of a card format, and you can very quickly create a new project from an address with
yeah.
if you have Job Nimbus connected.
So I've pulled in all the information from Job Nimbus and I've linked it so that documents are flowing back. I'm also going to connect a Company Cam project to this so that all my photos from Company Cam are instantly available through this.
Yep.
So there's lots of integrations that we've got. My measurements on this job, I often put this in at a project level first, even though you could put it in right in the quote itself as you're going through. But I could order an Eagle View here. I could search Eagle View, and I'd already ordered a report for this. So
Mhm.
instantly I can download that Eagle View report in here, and I can just hit apply on that report and it drops in all my numbers that I need for this project.
Mhm.
So really quick to put, and that's just raw data, right? SumoQuote can take over adding, waste percentages, converting it to a per bundle or per square, like all this stuff can be automated. And then really what I do is I've got pre-built layouts of all types of jobs that I might try and sell. So roofing jobs, siding jobs, whatever it is. So if I click on a pre-built layout, it automatically puts all my pages on, and my pages can be marketing pages. So I'll walk you through this stuff in a second, inspection pages and so on. So what I'm showing here is I'm just going to drop on a cover image onto my report from Company Cam. And on my quote details page, my quantities are already dropped in here into a good, better, best layout. And so if I go review and share on this, I've done the base of what, and really this is 10 times better than the visual that contractors are giving these days. But, a nice introduction page for the homeowner.
So question for you, why do you have their home on the front of the proposal?
It's a good question. Psychologically, this is the place where they spend Christmas, where they spend Thanksgiving, where they brought their newborn baby home to. Like we've got all of this positive energy, there's all of this, love that they've got. And now we're connecting that subtly, from them to our quote. You put a piece of paper in front of them with a bunch of lines and a number, there's no emotional connection there. The other component, getting into the sales psychology of it, is you're telling them this story is about them. You're not trying to, quote unquote, be the hero of the story. You're saying you're the hero of the story. This is your house. We're going to walk you through this. We're going to be your guide through this process. We're going to be, the Yoda in the story. We're not going to try and be the Luke Skywalker, because homeowners ultimately care about themselves and they care about their home. They don't care about your business. So there's lots of, sales psychology and subtle things that we're doing here that ultimately the goal is sales rates, conversions, upsells, higher margin jobs, all of the things we've been talking about.
Awesome.
Yeah. So on
And
this
you guys
sample,
are showing case studies, correct, in these as well? Just kind of like in these quotes.
you know what? Yeah, if I wanted to, what I'll do here is You're testing my my navigation skills on multi-screen. So
Oh,
let's
I'm
say
sorry.
I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna go back into my project. I'm gonna add a custom page, and this custom page, I've got libraries. So I've got roofing brochure pages. I've got my company marketing pages.
Mhm.
By the way, Tim, would your agency help a contractor with building branded marketing pages if that was something they needed, or is that
You know,
not
it's funny.
necessarily the fit?
Yeah, that's not, we're really digital focused. So we have not been involved in like, it's a little bit more like print in certain ways.
There's some
I,
great companies like Suma Media
yeah,
out there that would fit
yes.
great with that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And they're awesome. And I like, I'm thinking about it. Like if I, it's totally something that's could be up our alley at some point, but yeah, that's a great option in the meantime.
Yeah. So here, what I'm going to do, a single use PDF, and let's assume that they were talking about maybe wanting to consider a rubber roof. So what I've just done here is I've dragged and dropped in from my other screen a case study
Hmm.
on a rubber roofing job that we had completed. And now I'm just going to drag and drop that up in my presentation. And maybe I'm going to turn off this marketing page instead. And I go review and share. So this stuff from and we'll walk you through because you bring up a really interesting point there. Now in my presentation, it took me 10 seconds to do, but now I've got a case study showing a
Mm,
rubber roofing project we completed. And so
yeah.
now we're giving them confidence. We can do this. We do this all the time. We do this on very complex projects. We do this on complex projects where there's complex safety issues. So the case study I'm showing here is a golf course.
Hmm.
And so as I go through this, we've got our first page talking about the product and a nice hero image of the clubhouse. And then the second page, we've got these professional shots of what the finished result was. And it looks amazing. It's this great visual and it's complex. And so when they look at it, you give them confidence the whole way through.
Would you
All
say
of
that like higher end exterior jobs, like they're gonna expect a little bit more substance from like a case study? Would you use this on a like a residential project? Do you think that that would be persuasive?
I would absolutely use something like this on a residential job. And here's one of the things when we're comparing sort of your standard roofing project to a premium one.
Yeah.
Um, Homeowners are going to be less price sensitive. And so your quote shifts from how do I just get them to sign off on a price to how do I give them an experience? And really, you're trying to connect emotionally with them or have them emotionally connect with your company, yourself, your quote. And
Yeah.
so when you put some of these visuals in, you're creating emotional connection points for them. And it's
Hmm.
not just text and it's not just numbers. You're trying to create these emotional connections. So
Yeah.
even as I go through to my next page here, we've got client video testimonials. They can click on any of these images and there's a link embedded behind, but you're
Hmm.
showing humans, other homeowners.
Yeah.
And the next
That's a
best
beautiful
thing,
page. I like that page. Yeah.
yeah, the next best thing after a referral from a friend or family member is just seeing another human talking
That's,
about the phenomenal experience they had with your
yeah.
company. And again, this was just automatically like you didn't see me, add this, navigate around, drag and drop, do any of this stuff. This was just a part of my like it just automatically appeared in there because it was a part of my layout. And
Beautiful.
so as I go through this stuff, my good, better, best quote, everything was been automatically built. So your point before of how do you have a process and standardize? You can
Yeah.
build all of that stuff. Plus, you've got the ability to add custom photos, to add custom marketing pages, depending on what you're selling them, add custom case studies, add like small tweaks to the homeowner, what matters to them, go a long, long ways with this stuff.
I think I'm queuing up a bunt for you. That's an easy one, I think. But like, why not just build these PDFs each time? Why not just like go out there and kind of like do this, manually?
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievably slow, right? You saw me do this in person live
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
minute or two. And in a minute or two, I
Yeah.
created a quote custom for this homeowner that was way beyond anything standard
Yeah.
out there. So it's just
Yeah.
the speed.
Like when you guys were building these originally, is that kind of what you guys came up to? Like, because I'm assuming this was like the beginning of SumoQuote. Like we were trying to do better looking proposals and get these all together, and it was a slog, and it was just like you guys solved the problem for yourselves.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Like, and if I showed you the prototype, like what we built and used for a couple of years first, it was so painful
Yeah.
and had like it didn't have any of the features that we've got in SumoQuote now, but
Okay.
it built a professional looking presentation very, very fast that was custom for a homeowner.
And it's always
Our
funny to me. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say our close rates went up 63%.
That's
And our
amazing.
revenues went up millions of dollars. And our homeowners were just commenting on it all the time. Like we had one of my guys went out, pitched the homeowner, and the homeowner said, "Hey Grant, just so you know, I'm getting 2 other quotes. Don't just think you're getting my job here," right? One of those homeowners. So Grant's like, "Yeah, no problem." Goes back to the office, builds the quote, and he had promised the guy, "Hey, I'm going to send this to you, you know, by the end of the day." And so by the time he got back to the office, he had it sent to him within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And the guy called him within the hour and said, "Hey Grant, just so you know, you're not just getting my job. Like I'm getting 2 other quotes, but holy smokes, man, I just had to call and tell you, I've never seen a quote like this in my life.
Yeah.
Like
That's
this
beautiful.
is,
Yeah.
you know what? And of course we won the job. But if you think of it this way, when was the last time somebody emailed you an invoice and you were so blown away by how it looked that you just had to pick up the phone and call them? Like, this invoice is amazing. Thank you so much for sending this invoice to me.
That's amazing. I like it. Yeah.
Right?
No, and I think it's funny, like just to kind of talk through the like, as business owners, I feel like it's just to be kind of mean for a second, but also tough love. Like a lot of business owners like think they're gonna like build everything from scratch. Like when you know, you start out and you like, or like for instance, we get like some requests like, can we build this crazy tool on our website? And it's like to pay for custom crazy development of a tool versus just using one that's in your industry that's really good, that has already been around. And
Yeah.
like it's not just the initial build, it's also the all the extra features that get layered on. Every 6 months there's a new feature, and you are still back here with your custom developed weird solution that you built 3 years ago because you thought you were going to like shirk the system, and you ended up paying a lot more for the development and maintenance of that. So if anything, I'm a proponent of somewhat a little bit, I think cheaper software as a service solution type things, and
Yeah.
working with the best couple and connecting them versus, you know, even sophisticated first 5 years companies thinking they're going to build software that's completely custom. And I do think that there's a lot of people out here pitching completely custom software development for people that I think a business owner can get distracted. You need to focus on your main business. And I mean, certainly you guys, obviously you've made this into something amazing, but like in your average person, I just don't think it's smart to spend a ton of time. And I'm saying this for our audience, not for you. I think it's cool that you did this.
Well,
In
but
certain situations that works out, but you know what I'm saying?
well, and just to reinforce it, like contractors typically are not software developers, and
Yeah.
product and UX and UI and all this stuff is incredibly complex, let alone, yes, all the things that you were, the architecture and all the things you were talking about with it. But to reinforce what you're saying there, when you look at even, and I'm going to use roofing because that's the industry that I'm from, but when you look at CRMs that are heavily focused on roofing contractors, even they go nowhere close to what, you know, a SumoQuote does, because we've doubled down on a specific component of it, and we've gotten amazing traction and growth from it because it's so powerful and it has that impact. But even these other software companies are not trying to build and do the things that we're doing because it's too complex and it's too much work. And they're software and technology companies. They would rather integrate with us and then continue focusing on the great project management, accounting, like contact management, like all the things that they do.
Exactly.
The good tech companies out there recognize what they're positioned to do in the market and what they're not positioned to do, and integrate with the specialist companies like the Company Cam and the SumoQuotes and so on, that do
I
that
couldn't agree.
one or two specific things unbelievably well and deeper than they ever would.
And I'm not a software guy. We're a services company, right? But that's exactly how I think people should be thinking of this. And I do think that so there are some software companies that try to get greedy and do everything, and they try to like but they end up doing it not that well. So I like the specialty doing something really, really, really well and getting good at connectors. That's what it's like. I agree, basically, is all I'm saying.
Well, and it shouldn't be complex. Like the goal of the software needs to make your life simple. So even when you're talking about that, it's like, oh, now I got to subscribe to a number of them and then try and link them together and stuff. They should have done the thinking with that. IRE, this coming International Roofing Expo, we're actually going to do a shared booth, a larger booth with four companies together: SumoQuote, Company Cam, Job Nimbus, EagleView. And we're just looking at being like, hey, we seamlessly integrate together. We create this seamless experience so that everything just flows naturally and easily. And we're these best-in-class tools that this is really the tech stack for a contractor to run on. And so
I'm going to be hanging out over there, by the way. I'll see you guys there.
done. That'll be great, man.
I would love to just, that is a really cool booth. I'm excited to check that out. Also check out, so we're exhibiting with Dimitri. So we're going to be, it's
awesome. Roofing Insights. That is a stud booth to be at, both of you guys together.
Well, they're the jocks. They got what do you call it? Arm wrestling.
Classic Dimitri. Yeah.
And we are the nerds. So we're going to be really get up and handing out report cards for your website. So
nice. Are you going to do that for free? You can just pull up people's websites and you'll give them grades right there.
Yep. And we've got all the criteria that we normally look at, and just kind of like making it into an easy to carry off and work on, whether it's, with us or whether it's on somebody, your own marketing person. Cause a lot of these people, and I respect it, you go from 100,000 to 1 million. And a lot of times you have like a local freelancer or a small marketing company in your area that's maybe not even roofing or like contractor specialized. And like, I respect that because I was that guy for a long time, and I totally understand. So, and it's like, we're not cheap. So there's different situations. And so we'll try to be helpful no matter what.
I was going to say, but that's great free value. People got to get over to your booth if you guys are doing that. I'll swing by your booth because I'll be curious to get you to grade our roofing company and SumoQuote.
Absolutely. I'm super excited about it. We got a big team coming out there, and I'm just stoked. So, we talked about the customer focused thing. We talked about the awesomeness of the case studies and being able to work those in quickly. How could you use this for upsells?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how many contractors never offer upgraded products or create a way, or maybe they do and they just package it as good, better, best, but that's it. SumoQuote, obviously, or even without SumoQuote, I would say good, better, best can be great. I actually never sold that way when I was selling, so I wasn't used to it, but the concept I think is brilliant, and I think the data all points to it's a great way to get additional revenue. Or the other way is just offering additional optional upgrades. And so that's how I sold when I was selling, was a single quote with optional upgrades. And this is where it's interesting. We're talking about premium products, premium margins, those higher end jobs. You actually don't know which customers may convert into being a premium customer until you put something in front of them. Because you may show up and look at their house and it's just like, standard house, standard, shingle, standard whatever. And I can't tell you the number of jobs I've converted from a roof to a roof, class 4 impact resistant shingle, plus full James Hardy siding. Plus, if we're doing that, let's do full metals on the whole thing. And we're going to do a completely different exterior model of your, and maybe there's some rock work in there and stuff, but it's like, you go from thinking that it's going to be an $8,000 job to it's a $50,000 job. And it's hard to recognize because that could be a standard bungalow, but they've just retired and now they want to make it their forever home, or they've just gotten a Christmas bonus or something, and you don't know the circumstance. So at least offering these things and then having it be included in the conversation, it can trigger a lot of things that you may not have understood getting into it. And yeah, it is easy. Like I've had homeowners go through when I was just saying, here's your quote, standard shingle, here's your optional upgrades. And the first is a class 3 shingle, the second is a class 4 shingle, and then it's premium underlayment, top off your attic with insulation, et extended warranty, whatever it is. I've had customers go through and check off all 5 of them. And I have to go back to them and be like, no, you can't select the class 3 and the class 4 shingle. And they're like, oh, I just wanted a really good roof. I just, whatever. If it was, this is a recommended upgrade, just give it to like, and
Yeah.
You just don't know which customers are going to be those customers. And so you want to make sure you're finding ways to introduce concepts and options to them without it feeling forceful, so that you're doing them a service by educating them and giving them those options.
Yeah, it's kind of rude to just try to make decisions for other people. You know, you think, oh, I don't think this person can afford it. Who are you? Who are you to ask? Who are you to make that decision for them? Let them make their own decision. So any last bits, give us anything else, like let's say you're consulting with a roofing company and you've been around the block. What else, anything else that maybe doesn't relate to these quotes or SumoQuote that would help them get higher end jobs?
You know what, it's for the higher end jobs, I would say this should be any job in general. You got to listen to the customer. You got to figure out what matters most to them. And I'll show one more visual here. Let me pull it up quick. And of course, now I've navigated away from it. But it's this whole concept of you've got to be able to listen to them, figure out what matters to them, and then quickly adapt and pitch to them the thing that matters most. And so if the homeowner's walking around, sorry?
Of SumoQuote, that's almost the overall principle of SumoQuote, this ability to have high-end componentized quote system that you can drag and drop and really quickly, and it still feels high-end to them and custom for them. So
yeah, exactly.
Like listening well so that you can build your thing well and make sure that you're getting your components tightened up and that they look good.
So here's your example. This is from Ted Williams' book, The Science of Hitting, right? One of baseball's all-time greats. Way back in the 60s, he was super early on big data, right? So this is Ted Williams knew there's 77 spaces that a baseball can go through the strike zone. And he knew his batting average for every single one of those spaces the baseball could go through the strike zone. Okay, so in this example, as a contractor, you are not the hitter, you are the pitcher. And if you're just hucking the same looking quote out there every single time, you don't know if you're throwing a ball or a strike low and away or right in their sweet spot. And so if you're listening to them and you hear them mention their rose bushes 2 or 3 times as you're walking around, and you're the only contractor that puts a picture of those rose bushes on an inspection page and makes a note of those rose bushes on the introduction page, and you say, hey, we're gonna double tarp these rose bushes, and we're going to water them every morning, and we're going to give them a hug and a kiss every night. And you're the only one that talks about what really matters to them. You're honing your quote into this sweet spot to make it really easy. The one, like the quote that they want to hit, the one that makes it easy for them to hit. And you only have to do these little things to shift it, to make it all about them and to start honing in, right? So you still have to listen to them. You still have to be good at sales. You still and there's tons of great sales coaches out there to help your sales team get better at that stuff.
Name a couple. Name a couple.
Oh man, Ryan Groth, Randy Brothers, Chuck Toki, Jim Johnson, Becca Switzer, like good people with good strategies, all slightly different, whether it's for service or for insurance or for so grab the one, figure out the one that fits your business. Great to use those sales coaches, and then they should help you. Hey, you gotta do little things to your quote to make sure.
I also just hung out with the roofing company this morning that's using Deshaun Bryant of Roof Hustlers too. So
awesome.
One more in there. And they like working with them. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Oh, dude, and Adam, Roof Strategist. Like
yes. Oh yeah, Roof Strategist. Yep. Lots of great ones.
Find one that fits for you. And then, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the takeaway, make sure you customize it to the homeowner, listen to them, figure out what matters to them, and then make sure you pitch and hit them with that quote that really matters the most to them at the end of the day.
That's perfect. And I love that. Totally applies. I mean, I do think, if we're just thinking about higher end stuff, they are, I mean, it's just, you just get a little bit, people get a little bit more, they're paying attention and they're looking for signs that of quality. So
Yeah.
and listening is a big sign of quality and follow through, right? So, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, Ryan. Can you give everyone just what to do next if they want to work with you guys?
Yeah, if they want to check out SumoQuote, we've got a free 14-day trial. Go to sumoquote.com, sign up for the trial. And I would say this, we'll send you an email inviting you to book a demo, book the demo, because half an hour with somebody from our team, we will show you all sorts of magical ways that you can use SumoQuote and make it super fast, but also very custom for people. It'll be well worth your time to have that demo.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll collaborate on more content in the future. I just feel like there's a lot of alignment here. So
definitely. Tim, thanks for having me, man. I've really appreciated being here too.
Absolutely. And of course, the podcast is put on by hookagency.com, Hook Agency all over social. And I'll see you guys at IRE.
Sounds good, man. Thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you. Bye.